My name is Rick Middleton. You may have seen me on MCTV on the series The Presidents as Athletes. Interestingly, relative to George Washington as an athlete, we noticed that when George Washington died in 1799, sport had not changed much in the previous 1,500 years. In the ancient Olympic Games, there was running, jumping, the discus throw, the shot put, fighting sports, and equestrian sports. And that was pretty much summed up most of sport in 1799 when George Washington died. By 1901, when Theodore Roosevelt was sworn in as president, sport had changed dramatically, and a total sea change had accompanied it. In 1869, football was invented. Ice hockey was invented in Canada in the 1870s. In 1893, James Naismith invented basketball. The first organized baseball game is thought to have been played in 1846. The first professional baseball game was played in Cincinnati in 1869. The first World Series was played in 1903. For the 100 years from 1870 to 1970, baseball was so popular it was known as the nation's pastime. In 1908, the song "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" was a Tin Pan Alley hit, and that song is still sung in stadiums nationwide all summer long. In 1888, the poem "Casey at the Bat," the official poem of baseball, you might say, was first recited. In honor of the opening day of baseball for the Great Lakes Loons, Mid-Michigan's favorite baseball team, I would like to recite that poem for you today, and I think we'll have some fun. It looked extremely rocky for the Mudville Nine that day. The score stood 2-4 with but one inning left to play, and so when Cooney died at first, and Burroughs did the same, a sickly silence fell upon the patrons of the game. A straggling few got up to go in deep despair. The rest clung to hope, that hope that springs eternal within each human breast. They thought if only Casey could get but a whack at that, they'd put up even money now with Casey at the bat. But Flynn preceded Casey, and so did Jimmy Blake. The former was a washout, and the latter was a fake. And so upon the stricken multitude grim melancholy sat, for there seemed but little chance of Casey getting to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single to the wonderment of all, and Blake, whom all had sneered at, tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted, they saw what had occurred. There was Jimmy safe on second, and Flynn a hugging third. Then from the joyous multitude there went up a mighty yell. It rumbled in the valley, it rattled in the dell, it knocked upon the mountain and rebounded on the flat, for Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat. There was ease in Casey's manner as he stepped into his place. There was pride in Casey's bearing and a smile on Casey's face. And when responding to the crowd, he lightly doffed his cap. No stranger in the crowd could doubt 'twas Casey at the bat. 10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands in dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded as he wiped them on his shirt. And now the waiting pitcher ground the ball into his hip. Defiance flashed in Casey's eye. A sneer curled Casey's lip. And now the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air, but Casey stood a-watching it in haughty grandeur there. Close by the sturdy batsman, the ball unheeded sped. "That ain't my style," said Casey. "Strike one," the umpire said. From the benches filled with people there went up a muffled roar, like the beating of the storm waves on a stern and distant shore. "Kill him! Kill the umpire!" shouted someone in the stands, and maybe they would have killed him had not Casey raised his hand. With a smile of Christian charity, great Casey's visage shone. He stilled the rising tumult, he bade the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once more the white sphere flew, but Casey still ignored it, and the umpire said, "Strike two!" "Fraud! Fraud!" cried the maddened thousands, and the echo answered, "Fraud!" But one scornful look from Casey, and the audience was awed. They saw his face grow stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain, and they knew that Casey would not let that ball go by again. He pounds with cruel violence his bat upon the plate, and now the pitcher holds the ball, and now he lets it go, and now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Oh! Somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light. And somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out.